I'm the Hooded Lid and welcome to my channel. I love perfume, and there's a really good chance you love perfume too because you clicked on this. I thought today we might talk about some roses. Now roses are controversial, though they shouldn't be. A lot of people are afraid of roses, a lot of people don't like roses. Who amongst us doesn't like them in our garden? They're beautiful in our garden, and I love the smell of David Austin roses. They're one of the only roses that actually smell nice, except for antique and Damascus. Well, we could do a rose story, but we're not. We want to talk about rose perfume. I've been thinking about doing this for a while, and I thought, I don't think I really have any rose perfumes, because I'm not a rose perfume person. And you don't have to be to like one or two rose perfumes. So sit back, even if you're not a rose person, and let's talk about some roses. I sat down after my Kilian and looked in my cabinet, and I was surprised to find 6 rose scents, not including 2 that I've already spoken about, which are the Generale Rose Barbare, I can't remember, and the Saffron Troublante from Rosine. I broke these up into 2 groups. We'll talk about 3 today and 3 next week because I talk a lot. Now my French, not so good. Just a fair warning. This is Parfumerie de Rose, Les Parfums de Rosine. This is a brand that used to be carried at Barney's, RIP. Let's take a moment, because Barney's had a really good perfume department. I didn't go there very often, and when I did go there, it was pretty much for the perfume, although I did like looking at the shoes and purses, but I digress. This was made in 2001, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the notes. It was Marie-Helene Rogan, who was the perfumer. It is plum, apricot, ylang ylang, rose incense, tea, cinnamon, sandalwood, cedar, opanax, benzoin, amber, and musk. A lot going on here. This means this is a fruity floral. I dislike fruity florals. But this to me isn't a fruity floral. It doesn't smell like your first perfume when you were 11. It doesn't smell like rose water with some watermelon thrown in. This is really, really a beautiful perfume. And I can't remember, I think I went to Barney's, I wanted the cashmere, and they didn't have it, and I ended up buying this. I think that's how I got it. Could have gotten it on eBay, who knows. But this is a beautiful, fresh rose scent. It's not pretending not to be rose. So if you're like, rose can be underneath there and I'm okay with it, this isn't for you. This is rose, but I've never smelled a rose scent like this. It is a green rose scent. So if you know, some cream colored roses have this green veining in the petals. That's what I think of. It does have that fruitiness, but it doesn't smack you with fruitiness. It's just kind of, the one word I can think of for this is it's just charming. It's delightful. This is an early spring scent to me, but if you are a rose person, I could see you wanting to wear this year round because it's such a pleasure. It's almost like a wallpaper scent where it doesn't challenge you, but it's so delightful. Unlike some things that don't challenge you, they're like wallpaper, they're in the background, they're pleasant. This is more, much, much more than pleasant. It has a warmth to it, but it's not warming. This is not something that you would smell and think, oh, for sure I'm wearing this in winter. But it's not a screechy, cold, thin rose. It is full-bodied, but light and effervescent. Not effervescent, light and lovely. It's just lovely. Now, I don't get the cinnamon from it, but the warmth that I'm feeling from it could be derived from the cinnamon. Let's look at some more notes here and talk about them. Incense, I get absolutely no incense, and I don't get the tea either. I do get the fruity nature, and I like the balance of plum and apricot. Kind of cancels them both out as far as I'm concerned, because plum can be a little hard to take. I guess also the amber and the benzoin helps for that warmth. And the sandalwood, I can't say I really get all that much, but I do adore myself some sandalwood. This will last on your skin for hours and hours and hours. It isn't a skin scent per se. When you first put this on, other people will smell it, but it's not offensive. There's nothing offensive about this as far as I'm concerned. And after, 45 minutes or so, it's a little closer to your body. But I have tried this several times. I've tried all of these several times. And I found that, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, I'm still smelling it. And I imagine if I sprayed it on my clothes instead of my skin, it would still be the original smell of when it just comes out before it develops a little bit. It doesn't develop too much, honestly. It smells very much to me the same from top to bottom, but it's completely charming. It's just delightful. And if you are looking for a green rose, it's just like, it's like dancing plums in a rose. I don't know. It's just a delightful little rose scent, and I think it's under the radar. And if you happen to come across it, I think it's well worth a sniff. Andy Tower Rose Chypre. I am a Chypre lover. Now, I don't love a lot of the older Chypres. I do not love or even like, I even dislike Mitsuko. I said it, kill me. I love the mossiness. I love the oak moss. But the Chypres now, because oak moss can no longer be used in perfume, the Chypres now are called pink Chypres, and they utilize patchouli. I dislike patchouli strongly. As a matter of fact, the other day, my neighbor gave me a sample. She had been shopping and she got a Coromandel, and I couldn't remember if Coromandel was the patchouli or if it was the Chypre. I mixed it up with 31 Rue Cambon and I sprayed it on, and I regretted it all day long. Went and ran an errand, came back into my car. Why does my car stink? Oh, the Coromandel. Anytime I'm moving around and I get a whiff from that movement, oh Christ, there's the Coromandel. Amino-likey. So let's talk about this one. This came out in 2009. It is Bay, Hot Cinnamon, Bergamot, Lemon, and Clementine. Bulgarian Rose Oil, Rose Absolute, Bourbon Geranium, Labdanum, Oak Moss, Patchouli, Vetiver, and Vanilla. As far as Chypres go, it hits the spots that it needs to hit. But to me, this does not smell like a Chypre. To me, when I think of a rose Chypre, and they're not incredibly common, but I think of, hold your chair, because I can't remember the name of it. Oh my God. No, I think of, hold on a moment, this is going to send you back a few minutes. Aromatics Elixir. Now that is a powerhouse perfume. People smell it. Doors open. It is nothing subtle, but it is incredibly beautiful. You have to be in the mood for it. Maybe you're going to a party, a 70s party, or maybe you're stoned, but it's a gorgeous scent. If you can, I don't know what it smells like now, but to me, that is a rose Chypre. This is different. This, first of all, doesn't, the fruit in the beginning, the lemon, the bergamot, the bay even, and the clementine, that help to give this a little bit of brightness, and it needs all the help it can get, because when sometimes I compare fragrances to like a cashmere blanket. This is a wool blanket. This is heavy and dense, but it's not, and it's chewy, but it's not honeyed. It's like, when I think of Chergui, yeah, I could say, well, it's dense, it's chewy, but it's yummy and delicious, and you want to be wrapped up in that. That's like a double ply cashmere blanket, right? This is wool. This is heavy, and it doesn't dance, it doesn't move, it doesn't go anywhere. For me, it's interesting, it's compelling, but it's not something, I kept on thinking, is this something I want to smell like? Maybe it is, because it is kind of interesting. But it just didn't have enough movement for me. It didn't have enough juxtaposition, enough intrigue, enough capturing my attention, bringing me in. It just kind of, it's just a wet, wool, heavy blanket that doesn't move. But I will say this, if you like things that have a vintage kind of smell, there's something about this that's vintage. It doesn't smell like a vintage perfume, but when I try to conjure up what this is, what this reminds me of, I think of, imagine you won on eBay a cedar chest that hasn't been opened in 60 or 70 years. And you get it home, you open it, and it's full of sweaters and wool and cotton and whatnot. And whoever owned it wore different kinds of perfume. Maybe predominantly rose, but not all rose. That is the scent that I kind of feel from this. Like it's been sitting in a cedar chest for years and years and years, and it hasn't seen any air, and the scent has just kind of matured, but it lays there. There is something interesting about it in that way. If that sounds compelling to you, it's worth a try. Now, this was a limited edition more than 10 years ago. It's still available. I'm pretty sure I saw this on Lucky Scent. So that's something to consider by Andy Tower. It's interesting. It's just not delightful. It doesn't engage me. Now, the next one I have is you either hate it or you love it. I recommend that you buy yourself a sample of this. This is just a sample. And I did a swap on this. I thought I did 10 mil. And I don't know if it evaporated or what, but I was really disappointed to see when I pulled this out, I didn't have very much left. Oh, I'm trying to pull it out. I used it all in this sample, testing it the last couple of days. This is by Parfumerie Generale, and it's called Bruyere de Rose. And it's so weird. I love it. I like the weird stuff. A lot of people say it's too sweet. It is sweet. The sweetness doesn't last forever, but it doesn't go away in 15 minutes. It has a metallic nature to it. Think of Rive Gauche like times 1,000. It's so metallic, in fact, that it kind of reminds me of an oud. And of course, oud and rose is a beautiful pairing. If you were to think of this as an oud rose minus that itchiness, that tickle of your throat that oud gives me, and then put a lot of sugar in it, that's what you're getting. I picture kind of a red rose buds on a blanket of snow for that metallic and confectioner's sugar. Okay, this came out in 2005. Brazilian rosewood, raspberry, rosebuds, sandalwood, and amber. Not a whole lot going on there, according to this list. I imagine there's a lot more going on in there than this. Of course, I love sandalwood and I love most ambers. And the raspberry is not screechy, as I find berries can be, but it's present. That probably helps that metallic vibe go on. It is reminiscent, actually, of the Killians I did a few weeks ago. Now, I can't remember if it was 2 Killians or one that had both of these elements, but there was one that was really, really sweet. And the sweetness in this is different. Like that sweet was just unbearable. This sweetness is, it's there, it's present, it's there, but it's a little more tempered than the by Killian. And the oudish nature I think I found in one of those Killians is also here. I just can't remember if they were both in the same place, but the rose is so fresh, even though it feels like a red rose, and so interesting. And this is something that just pulls me in, and I keep on smelling my arm. I keep on smelling my arm. It's just, it's delightful and intriguing. And I think this would wear very well in the heat, and it would wear equally well in the cold, even though it has that chilly nature to it. And I usually like something more warm, more like a radiant amber, or something tobacco, something with a little vanilla, maybe something a little bit leather. Those I kind of like in the winters, but this could also really work in the winter. This isn't impossible to find. It is on their site, but who wants to ship from France? I was at Scent Bar last weekend and they said it's on back order, so they don't carry it in store, it's online, and maybe you could just check in and see if you can buy yourself a sample to give it a try. I recommend you don't blind buy this because a lot of people dislike this. It does have the potential to smell immature, and it kind of sounds immature, but I don't know, you guys, there's something about it that is so compelling to me. It really brings me in, and I'm really, really, really disappointed that I don't have anything left. I mean, I might have to go around sniffing this. Let's see if I can get a little thing. A little, ooh, I got a little, yay, I'm happy. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This is Roses Part 1, and there's 3 interesting and really different roses. This one is delightful, it's charming, it's spring, but if you really love roses, it's all year long. It is a fruity floral, but it's just not horribly fruity. It has that green rose, but it does have a little bit of a warmth to it, so it's not too cold. This one is this is just weird. If you like the idea of opening up a cedar chest that hasn't been opened in 70 years and the perfume sweaters and woolens that are in there, that scent deep into its dry down, right? There's none of those high notes and it's quite linear, then this might be something that's interesting to you. And if you just want something stone cold weird, this is the one for you. I just adore this. Oh, I love that sweetness with the metallic, with rose. I've tried many rose ouds, but none of them have delighted me as much as this has. And I think that's because oud tends to kind of do something to the back of my throat. And this doesn't. This does have metallic nature, but it's not the oud. It just is reminiscent of an oud. And if you like something weird, you need to try it. And that's going to wrap it up for part 1 of my rose series. I have a couple of good ones. Well, I have one stunning one in the next one, which I will probably do next week, so stay tuned for that. I want to thank you so much for spending a little time with me. I hope I've given you some ideas of things off the beaten path you may not have tried yet. And, you know, let's not forget, the holidays are coming up soon, so you might want to do a little shopping for other people, of course, and then get a little something for yourself, because that's how we like to shop. Thanks so much for spending a little time with me. I hope you come back again. And in the meantime, I'm wishing you a fantastic day. Bye.